Welcome back. We're in lesson 7 and we're going to start talking about percent, and then we're going to finish with equations from geometry. Some of those fun things that we like to do. So if you've ever wondered where we get the word percent from, the Latin word for by, like of, is per, and the Latin word for hundred is centum. So the word percent literally means by the hundred. Okay, so it's whatever out of 100. So whenever we create a fraction to represent a percent, the bottom number, the denominator, is always going to be 100 because that is what percent means, by the 100 or out of 100. So let's jump into problem 7.1 to see if we remember our percent problems. I'm going to go ahead and type that for you guys because I know my handwriting is atrocious, and I'm not going to try and make you suffer for it. All right, this is pretty straightforward. Now, this is not the whole problem. The rest of the problem said, it said 18 is 20% of what number, and then draw a diagram. I am not going to make you draw the diagram. I think the diagrams are silly, and they're not useful. You should be able to, you guys are all smart enough that once you visualize the percent, you could do it in your head. You don't have to draw a diagram. But that being said, I am going to show you what the diagram is that they're talking about once we're through with the problem. So let's move on to the problem. 18 is 20% of what number? So we have our first fraction here. When we are looking for our percent, when it tells us 20%, we know we can just write this, 20 out of 100, because percent means out of 100. So that's what that is, 20 out of 100. And now what we're looking for is 18 is that much of what number? So 18 is 20%. So when the 18 is, we put it level with the 20%, and the what number would go down here. Okay? Now we just cross multiply like we've been doing. So 20x equals 1800. Then we just divide by 20 and we should get 90. Okay, so 20 is 18% of 90. I'm sorry. 18 is 20% of 90. I said that backwards. So now we have our answer. We could rewrite this pretty easily and put 19 or 90 here. Easy peasy. And the way we check our work is by putting 90 where the x is and then cross multiplying. 20 times 90 is 1800. 100 times 18 is 1800. And when they both are the same number, we know that this is correct. All right, that's how we check a percentage problem. Now, the diagram that the book wants you to draw on top of doing this problem is this. It wants you to say 100% equals this box here, and it wants you to put 90 in the box. And then it wants you to say 20%, 80%, which is the difference of what we're looking for. And it wants you to draw another box, and it wants you to put the difference in here. It wants you to say 20% is 18, and 80% is 72. And that's what it wants you, that's the diagram that it wants you to draw. Now, if you want to draw this in your notes because it helps you to visualize 20 and 80% of the number, feel free. I am not going to require that. I'm going to require this. This is what I'm going to ask for. This is for your own personal use. I will tell you right now, the ACT does not ask for you to draw these diagrams. Okay. They might have a diagram there for you to select the correct answer, at which point you would solve it this way and then pick the diagram that represents it. So you don't need to draw the diagram for me, but it might not hurt for you to know what it looks like. So now you know. All right, let's move on to 7.2. I'm clearing the page. All right, 7.2 says that 1,500 is what percent of 250? Yes, you read that right. 1,500 is what percent of 250. So what this is going to mean is that 1,500 is going to be greater than 100% of 250. It's going to be a multiplication of that number. So what we do is we say we have 1,500 is what percent? We're looking for the percent. We don't know what that is. So the percent is X out of 100. All right, when it says it's what percent, we do that. And now we do 1,500 of 250. You see that? So we do 1,500 of 250. 1,500 is what percent of 250? We don't know. Let's find out. So X times 250, that's 250X, equals 1,500 times 100. That's going to be 1500 and two more zeros. It's 150,000. We divide both sides by 250 and we get 600. So we can say that we could put the 600 in for the X. We know that 1,500 is 600% of 250. Okay? That's it. That's the answer. And we know it's right because we can sub in 600 here. So 600 times 250 should equal 150,000. And when we do the math, we see that it does. So this checks. So this is correct. These are pretty easy. You just have to be able to read the sentence and put the numbers in the right spots in this cross multiplication format. What percent is always going to be X over 100. And then you have to figure out what goes on the top and what goes on the bottom. Here's a clue. If it says of some number, that number goes on the bottom. Okay? That's your hint. That tells you this is the bottom number, so this has to be the top number. All right? Okay, let's move on to equations from geometry. So let's clear the page. And let's move on to example 7.3. See if we remember how to do this. I'm going to draw us a little triangle here. I love this program because it allows me to not be the greatest drawer or artist. Drawer is not a word. And it still pops the shape that I need. So that's great. So we have points here. A, and this is B, and this is C. And we have some formulas to represent our measurements here. So this one is 2x plus 2. This one is 7x plus 18. And this one is 6x plus 10. Miss Tracy, we're supposed to have degrees for angles, not a formula. If you remember from geometry or from Algebra 1 and in geometry, you learned that the inside measure of all three angles added together is always 180 degrees. So we can add all of these together and get 180 degrees. So 2x plus 2. By the way, our instructions are to find x. So 2x plus 2 plus 7x plus 18 plus 6x plus 10 equals 180 degrees. Right? Right. So now let's do some combining. We have 2 and 7, that's 9, plus 6, that's 15. So 15x. And then we have 2 and 18, that's 20, plus 10, that's 30. Now we're going to change sides, change signs. So it's 15x equals 180 minus 30 is going to be 150. X is equal to 10. Okay? So now if we wanted to, we could go back and find the value here. 2 times 10 plus 2, A is 22 degrees. My pen is just not doing right today. All right, 7x, that's 70 plus 18, so that's 88 degrees. And 60 plus 10, that's going to be 70 degrees. And if we add these up, this is 88 plus 22, this is going to be 110 plus 70, that's 180. Okay? Easy peasy. We just have to take what we know from geometry and apply it to what we see. All right, so now we've got some angles that we need to think about. I'm going to clear the page. And in 7.4, we have 4 parallel lines. And we have a transversal. What do we remember about transversals and parallel lines? We know that whenever we have parallel lines, that the measure of the angles created by a transversal across the parallel lines makes these vertical angles have a congruent measure, right? So now we're told that this angle of measure is 4x plus 33, right? And we're told that this angle of measure is 3x. So what do we know about a straight line or a straight angle? What is the degree measure of a straight angle? It's 180, right? Again with the 180. So if this angle is congruent to this angle, then these two angles added together is going to give us 180. So 4x plus 33 plus 3x is going to equal 180. So all we have to do is combine 7x plus 33 equals 180. Then we'll change our signs when we change the sides. So 7x is going to be 180 minus 33. So it's going to be 147. Just do a little math in my head there. And when we divide 147 by 7, we get 21. Now, our directions tell us to find the measurement of both angles, right? So we can easily find this now. We could say 4 times 21 plus 33 equals, that's going to be 84 plus 33, that's going to be 117, right? 117 degrees for this angle. And 3 times x, that's 3 times 21, that's going to be 63. So that's 63 degrees. And we could check it by adding them together. They equal 180 when added together, and that is the degree of measure of a straight angle. So that is correct, which means that is correct. All right. So let's look at example 7.5. Let's clear the page. Pause it if you need to. Take notes. There's a delay. I'm writing and it pops up, and sometimes it skips. I think I need to change out my point again. All right, so the measures, let me see if I can draw this out for you guys. We're going to talk about angles in this one, and we've got several. So here's our point. All right, this is one angle. Here is another angle, and we have one more angle right there. All right, so this is D, this is C, this is B, and this is A. Okay, so it says the measures of angles A, B, C, and D are in the ratio, right, was A, B, C, and D are in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 4 to 2. So find the measure of each angle. So what that means is we have A is 1, B is 2, C is 4, and D is 2. So we can apply that ratio to these by saying A is X, B is 2X, C is 4X, and D is 2X. All right, we know that this is a straight angle. So this is 180. So we can add all these together to get 180 degrees. So we're going to go around and add them all in. So we have 2X plus 4X plus 2X plus X, that's 1X by the way, just in case you're wondering. That's going to equal 180 degrees. So we add these together. 2 and 4 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9X. So X is equal to 20 degrees, right? So that means that A is 20 degrees, B is 40 degrees, C is 80 degrees, and D is 40 degrees as well. Because 1 times 20, 2 times 20, 4 times 20, and 2 times 20 again. And when we add all of these up, we get 40 and 80 is 120, plus 40 is 160, plus 20 is 180. And so that is correct. All right. That's all we have for lesson 7. So I am going to let you do your practice problems, and I will see you in lesson 8.